If you've been watching the channel for a little while, you may have noticed a few videos back when this guy suddenly appeared on top of my rack. This is a 1971 Craig Model 2402 reel-to-reel tape machine that I picked up from a local junker for just 10 bucks. Under threat of it going in the dumpster if nobody bought it. I immediately snapped it up and brought it home, and it's exactly in the shape you would expect from a 50-year-old tape machine. So today we're going to try to fix it up and get it running to hopefully add some real tape saturation to my masters. I don't expect this project will be quick or easy, so we'll see how it goes and maybe have to do a few videos. So first, let's take a closer look at this vintage reel-to-reel in more detail. All right, so the first thing you'll notice about this particular tape machine is that it comes with speakers. Craig made two variants of this particular model, the 2405 and the 2402, which this one is. It came with the speakers built in. I would have preferred to not get the ones with speakers built in, but I didn't get much of a choice at the junk sale. This is definitely a more consumer-oriented model, but it does take standard 7-inch reels, and it has IPS up to 7.5 inches per second, which was considered the low end of broadcast quality. All the buttons do work, and it does power up, and the reels do spin when you hit play. So I'm very hopeful that once we get this thing cleaned up that it's going to work out really well. The VU meters don't really want to work. They do bounce the slightest little bit when you feed audio into it, so I'm hopeful that that portion will work. This model was designed to do an auto reverse using special sensing foil tape, but I have zero intention of using it for anything but single direction recording of masters, so I won't be using any special foil tape today. When you take the cover off, you can see that it's absolutely filthy. No surprises there. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a deep clean with some isopropyl alcohol and some Q-tips before I try to load up one of these expensive master tapes on it. But for now, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave the labels on. Well, including the guy's name up there. I'd like to leave the vintage patina to it and just clean the parts where the tape is going to run, but I could change my mind. In fact, leave a comment below if you think that I should clean it or if I should leave all the vintage patina on there. So let's go ahead and get started with the clean. All right, so I've got my isopropyl alcohol and Q-tips. I take the cover off, and then I soak the Q-tip in alcohol, and then start gently rubbing everywhere along the tape path to remove dust, grime, tape oxide, and what I'm assuming is a healthy portion of cigarette tar. The goal is to keep doing this on each individual part over and over again until the Q-tips come out clean. It took close to half an hour, so I went ahead and sped up the video. About 2/3 of the way through, I actually ran out of Q-tips and had to bust out the big boy baby Q-tips to really get some cleaning action going on in there. I hit up all the tape pins, the tape guides, the capstan, and the tape heads. And then I took a lint-free rag and cleaned up anywhere where the brand new reels and the new tape are going to touch. Okay, so I've got it all cleaned up. Two things left to do. One is to demagnetize the heads. Since this has been sitting for years, possibly decades, we want to go ahead and realign the magnetic tape heads so that they cleanly read from and write to the tape. Then we'll go ahead and thread the tape. The demagnetize operation is fairly simple, but it should be done slowly and carefully. I'm going to go ahead and take the demagnetizer, plug it in, and then run it back and forth across each tape head and the capstan, and then pull it away gently and unplug it. This should remove any excess magnetic charge. Let's go ahead and get started. And I'm just going to count to 5, and I can actually feel it running. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great, and that's all that takes. Should only have to do that once every few years or so. Now let's go ahead and get started threading the tape. Now I'm definitely not a tape threading expert, so no judgment here, please. Because the tape I used is tails out, I start off with the full reel on the right side, which is where the take-up reel normally goes. Then I'm running the tape right to left. Once it's all threaded, I'll make sure that it plays, and then rewind the tape onto the take-up reel for recording. I'm running the tape under the pins and then over the guides, which keep it pressed up against the tape heads. Then under the capstan and above the pinch roller. Then I'll do the same thing with the guides on the other tape heads, then under the pins again, and then threaded up on the take-up reel. I did go ahead and speed up the video a bit here so you don't have to suffer through watching me fumble with the with the take-up reel. And we've got it all threaded on and ready to test. All right, so now we're all threaded. Now here comes the first moment of truth. Do the ancient transport controls on this guy still function when it's under tape tension? Well, first up, since this is a tails out tape, we need to rewind it back onto the take-up reel. So let's see what happens when we play it at a slow speed. It seems to be working. It's loud, but it's working. All right. Now what happens when I hit take up? Seems to actually be working. All right. Well, let's wind it all up and then we'll try to record something. Now, here's where it gets a little complicated. In the modern DAW environment, we're going to use hardware sends and receives to send audio to the tape deck and then bring it back out of the tape deck. So first we're going to test the sends. I'm here in my DAW and I'm going to add a send to the master track on outputs 9 and 10, which is where I have it hooked up on my patch bay. And then I've got my headphones plugged in to the front of the tape deck. I'm going to go ahead and hit record on the tape deck, and then I'll start playback in my DAW and see if I can hear it through the headphones. I hear it. I hear it. The VU meters aren't bouncing, but I still hear it, so that's great. So that means that the audio is going in. So now we need to bring the audio back out. But in order to bring the audio back out, we have to have something to hear. So let's try recording something and see what happens. All right, great. We got a little sample to hear. Let's go ahead and roll that back. And while we're rolling that back, we'll go ahead and set up our receives here. I'm gonna create a new track called tape receive and put that on inputs 5 and 6, which is where I have it hooked up on my patch bay. And when I hit the tape receive and then crank 5 and 6 up, I should get, yep, signal light. There we go. Says that something's coming back out. So, are we gonna hear it? Are we gonna hear it? Well, let's see. I hear something. It's not very good, but I hear something. All right, well, I heard where it cut off. All right, so we still need a little work here. Let me go ahead and play with it and see what I can come up with. All right, so after a lot of messing around, I think I figured out the problem. This tape machine is designed to play in both directions, as I mentioned in the intro. These tape heads over here don't seem to be printing correctly. Everything that goes through them is coming out of, it's washed out of phase, just doesn't sound right. What's coming through in these tape heads right here is a nearly perfect print. So let's go ahead and hear that back. We got to play it backwards. Plus, I can go backwards now. Oh, yeah. Now, there does appear to be some sort of issue with the right channel. Keeps kind of phasing in and out. And I don't know how to fix that, so I'm going to have to do some more research. At this point, it's not going to be good for mastering, but it is going to be pretty cool for a nifty effect that I can add to a track. So in conclusion, this was totally worth the $10 for the machine, the $40 for the tape, the $20 for the head demagnetizer. This experiment, totally successful. If you want to learn more about how to set up your own home studio, check out the link in the description below. I've got a free guide that's just for you. So thanks for watching, and have a great day in your home studio today.